This is where Sentinels start to mount that jump back quite quickly into the site. Sick, wanting to move through the wall. Doesn't want to overextend. Nukia already picking up SHAZAM. This becomes so difficult for Sentinels to hold on. With only one player taken down, this pistol is flawless to kick off Icebox.
Yeah, really solid start for G2. I think that's always going to be important, especially when we talk about keloqz as an individual player. Like, he's someone that thrived. I think he's had the best map so far in the entire... We have to go and say that we expect TENZ to show up throughout this series. keloqz has always been a question mark. Now, he's had a good tournament so far. Had some rats, and I think, especially when you look at the defensive side of this map in particular, that A side basically comes down to the TENZ and SHAZAM show. These aggressive pushes, these battles deep into A, and that's why you're going to see these slower rounds out from G2. These defaults held to make sure that they're not losing too much map control. And in fact, in this one, Sentinels have actually gambled into the A site, and unfortunately for them, G2 are going B.
Yeah, G2 are going to get a nice open site to walk on into. Should be nice and clean and getting the plant down and retaking in with classics and your odd Sheriff. Won't exactly be ideal, but you don't want to discount TENZ. And winning the round is not what Sentinels are looking for. Obviously, they'll take it if it comes their way, but for the most part, they're looking to do damage and drop weapons. Now, G2 have Nukia watching the flank with a pistol in hand. Him going down would be the biggest of deals. He's got Koldamenta here to help him, just to make sure that they don't give away any unnecessary advantages. Great nades, Satchel to pursue as well. But you don't want to get too aggressive here, Tom. That could play right into the hands of the Pistol, who are now right below him. But luckily, Nukia's able to deal with that. And the important thing for me, looking at that situation, is not just that G2 survive with all of their rifles brought through to the next round with Nukia recovering the Spectre, but that they have full shields as well. Everybody was on 50 walking out, and that saves so much reinvestment coming into this round here.
Yeah, it means they could, in fact, maybe invest into a rifle alongside all the SMGs that they currently have. It depends how they actually want to play the bonus. Also, in terms of ultimates, there's not really going to be anything here that can actually boost them into this round, like the Bladestorm 3 away. Like, by that point, you almost look at the round and go, well, you kind of done a lot there. Do you want to invest it anyway? Now, for the other side of things, this is where we get the purchases for Sentinels, though. And likelihood is they're going to be able to take a little bit more space in this sort of round and make sure that, well, basically, they don't have too many casualties.
Well, exactly. This is the bonus round for G2. They haven't had to invest into anything bar the armor or the shields up on Koldamenta. He got dropped over as Sheriff, of course. So they'll be looking to just come out of here with a couple of scalps. You can see how passive Sentinels are taking it towards the extremities, but around middle, they are looking to get aggressive. Sick started to push down through the tube, and we saw that TENZ was getting a little bit itchy to move forward as well, but they decide against it with a minute left, realizing this isn't a full B commitment, that there's still players outside the A site, and they'll just tuck in and wait to take those ranged fights.
Yeah, it almost looks like they're playing a bit more of a retake on B as well. So they have this deep control from SHAZAM. Of course, he is going to be able to just dash out of there, and especially after being tagged, I'm actually quite surprised he's sticking around. If over, it's going to pick him off, leave a weapon in the backlines, and keloqz has just found another onto Dapper. This bonus is looking incredible. They need TENZ to go huge. Luckily for him, he is, well, I was going to say he's going to be able to dismiss, but Nuki already behind him.
Yeah, he caught him, got right up in his face as he came out and dismissed him. What was a very weak round for G2. Spectres for the most part, a Marshal and a Sheriff, and they've only lost the pistol yet again. But Zom's desperately trying to pull this one back. He'll go down, and that is the freest round for G2, because as I said, Koldamenta came in with a Sheriff. Him dying means nothing. The rest of the team get free upgrades over to your Phantoms, your Vandals. And I don't mind SHAZAM going out because he tried to catch really good timing. As he was being pinged up, he gets pinged the first time, and they'll think, okay, he's going to run back. He tries to swing out, obviously with the intention of, oh, I've got the dash if I need to use it up, and well, he got taken down before he could even get to his keyboard.
The only thing there is, it just feels like, maybe in a buy round I'd agree. I just think it's the risk when you have a rifle that it just seemed a little bit more peculiar with G2 being able to almost just stack up against him.
Stop them getting close at the same time, though. You know, those Spectres, 3 of them come running around the corner, and the only real danger was when you're, well, should have been, when you're looking over towards the Marshal, which obviously was still able to connect in the hands of keloqz. It's still online as well. He's playing with the Marshal right now, and you can see that G2 are sensing a weakness. They're moving towards this A site, but Sentinels have stacked up.
Already over, looking to try and lock this off. TENZ has managed to bypass the wall, but isn't able to connect the shots necessary. Mixo is actually going to walk into 2 players and completely whiffs. Luckily, Koldamenta is there with a triple. Again, looking like a relatively clean round for the side of G2's. Credit stacked up, and it's only really Zoms that can make this costly.
Yeah, with Kellogg's having the Marshal as well, he can potentially grab an upgrade to a rifle. I'm surprised he's staying way back in spawn, watching for the flank. The most important thing for me, though, but especially if Kellogg's doesn't save the rifle, any damage that Zoms can get from this point would be huge. Because G2 have gotten away with near flawless rounds the whole way through, including their bonus. And if Sentinels get no damage done here, well, then you're going to be in a spot where it's going to be very hard to break G2's economy.
Yeah, of course, for Zoms. Probably just going to try and take one with him, die to the spike. There's no real value in holding on to the Sheriff, and in fact, Kellogg's is going to pick him off instead. So now we start looking at that ultimate economy as a little bit more deadly, because that's the thing. This is a round for G2. Well, I wouldn't be bothered if they sort of spammed their ultimates. This is the first time we're going to see what I would call a proper 4x for Sentinels. We know how impactful ShahZaM's operator can be, especially with, for example, that position earlier he was playing. If he has an operator there, he gets the kill and he dashes out. I would bet on it 99% of the time. So it's a spot now where if they can use that Hunter's Fury to get an opener, if they can maybe get the Blade Storm and almost one-trick him out of the round, that would be a huge start for them. And 5-0 on the attacking side. We know that G2's always been strong in this attack, but this would be something different, and ShahZaM's already dead. That was like 8 seconds in.
We talked about ShahZaM's operator. Obviously, Kellogg's has bought up his own, and now he's the only operator left on the server, for the time being at least. A man advantage for G2, claimed by Nukia, who's still walking forward, looking for more victims and finding them. The nade onto the backside, and the Hunter's Fury, it will not connect for the kill, but the nade will. That is glorious for G2. 4 versus 2, and Sick can't even get a kill on the board. Again, it's Zoms left to 1v4 retake, and oh, it doesn't look like he's going to get anything either. 4K out of Nukia. What if G2 had for breakfast this morning?
This is Sentinels playing, right? Like, I can't believe what I'm witnessing. I'm not even sure if Nuki's actually died yet. He's just been running riot. Every single aggressive player has been completely shut down. They're making the openers onto this site in particular look incredibly easy, and yeah, as I said, at the moment, this doesn't look like Sentinels.
We've had the conversation many times when it comes to the EMEA region about Nukia, about him potentially being one of the best players in the world, and you're seeing him here on the international stage. He has had one hell of a tournament so far, and the start to this map, lightning fast. Let's see what else they can do. Now, just up against the pistols yet again, but Sentinels are starting to roll the dice and take some risks. They've pushed B, they've pushed mid, and they're seeing no one here. G2 might be about to get trapped in.
They do have the flank being watched, though. Kellogg's is more than aware, and with that push coming through, it might start to make them hesitate a little bit whether they continue this push, but to be honest, they're continuing to find all the openers they could possibly need. They're just ripping apart this site. It may have been a stack, it may have been a flank, but well, G2 just get through it, no problem.
This is an unbelievable start. I mean, Sentinels are looking hard nerfed. I wouldn't be surprised if coming out of this round, you get a pause out of this defensive side team, because I don't think I've ever seen them look this weak, and that's not to say that G2 aren't doing a fantastic job, and in particular, Nukia on those openings, but for Sentinels...
2 of their players haven't died.
Exactly. Like, normally they would at least connect a couple of shots, make these rounds costly, and instead a Prime Gaming Flawless comes out, and G2 already had a bunch of money. Now they are stacked with credits.
Well, Kellogg's having a great time. I almost wonder if Ocelot right now is just saying, can we get that plane back in the air? Can we get it back in the air? Like, we got memed for it, we got owned for it, but I feel like it's always good to make these sort of...
It's going to be flying it himself at this rate.
It's gonna be coming into the studio behind us. I'm a little bit worried. I know he's close by. You've had your nice little selfie with his nice little G2 stamp that they put on the floor.
Oh yeah, the graffitis. IRL graffitis. Well, for Sentinels, this is a full buy. ShahZaM with the operator yet again. And you'll notice he's not quite playing as aggressive as he did before. Maybe a little bit scared of running into Nukia. TENZ certainly should have been, because he has been shut down to start. Dapper pops off the Hunter's Fury. Very little found, but Kellogg's so close to death. 26 HP as he dashes on out. And they've already burned up their heals, so it's going to be a while before he gets back up to full.
Although TENZ has gone down, they still have this bait and switch. You can see Sick has gone into a far more aggressive position than what we've seen before. It does seem like TENZ has started to be predicted quite often now by the side of G2, but with Mixwell falling, there seems like a chance, but Nukia's just on one today. Sick, as said, he's in a prime position to do a fair amount of damage, but now the showstopper comes through and catches him on the edge of the wall, leaving just 2 men standing for the side of Sentinels.
So well played so far by G2 in a 4v2 yet again. Dapper and Zoms, we've seen it so many times, but here's a successful start. Zoms left in the 1v3. Kellogg still low, but he has that operator and he has the angle. 7-0, a dominant start for the EMEA side. And this is not something that I think anyone would have seen coming. ShahZaM, having 2 operators bought up, is still to get on the board.
I feel like TENZ's stats are about to be ruined. Like, he's been averaging, I think over 300 ACS for the entirety of the tournament so far. He's also down the boat. This is weird. Like, I feel oddly uncomfortable watching G2 do this well. And not because it's like, oh, G2 hate or anything like that, but just because they're against Sentinel.
We saw the adaptations. Oh, ShahZaM already down a couple of knives. What's he got, 2 left to work with? It's going to be a little bit tough now for him. That ultimate needs to connect a headshot to refresh. Now, what I wanted to say was G2 versus F4Q. You saw the adaptations they made.
Yeah.
They worked so hard on improving their game. And so far, it's been working out for them in this series as well. ShahZaM connects the Coldamenta, though. That's the pick that they needed. He's got all the blades back up, and that's the difference maker in a round like this where they don't even have a rifle to play around.
Kellogg's already taking a lot of map control. I think Dapper will have heard him, so he's going to be wary of his flank and, oh, maybe not expecting Kellogg's to be that far forward. Sick needs to get something done, but he's going to hear the remaining players walking away. This could be a pretty big moment for him, but Mixwell's in the spawn. He's just sat all the way back, just ratting it as far as he can, and now they're going to try and put some pressure onto Zoms. Now, he popped his ultimate at the beginning of the round. ShahZaM will close out the lurk, but he needs to get something done here. Luckily, this weapon at close range, it can work.
30 seconds left as they dive on in, but they've already bypassed him. Going up above as well. The site is now theirs. The res on a Dapper might not mean much if Zoms goes down, and he will. Walking out of the Viper's pit and being dropped straight away. Man advantage no longer in their favor. ShahZaM wants to get the opening, but does he know that right up above is Mixwell, waiting to catch Dapper as he comes on through. There's the kill for ShahZaM, and Sick manages to save his life. Now they should have their first round, unless Nukia has got something to say about it, and he doesn't. Welcome to the scoreboard as Sentinels hit 1.
It took them quite a bit of time, and definitely one of the shakier rounds that we've seen for G2. Players being caught off here and there, but some solid kills coming through in the retake. And of course, well, ShahZaM, it didn't take too long for him to move up the score, but at least a little bit on that jet.
Yeah, I mean, there weren't many... wasn't much of a lead to catch up on, let's say it that way. The fact that Mixwell, a little bit too slow. He was waiting for Dapper to walk on through. He was hearing the shots out of that frenzy. And that small gap that was left open for them to walk out the door, they grab the kill to Avova, they overrun the site. That's what we needed to see from Sentinels. That was on a weak bind now, and a big difference maker was the fact that Kellogg's played so aggressive. He was starting to ego them. I mean, with 7 rounds, you can't really blame him, but now we need to see that come through again. We need to see Sentinels make it work when G2 aren't playing overconfident now that they've lost a round.
Oh, just as ShahZaM goes to push, he's going to be held back by a snake bite. They're doing well to deny pretty much all of the aggression of Sentinels so far. That's one of the things I've been really impressed with for G2. Now the drone, not really going to find anything, so this gives that extra space for ShahZaM to move a little bit further forward and cut off rotations, but this time it's looking like G2 might just pick up the pace.
It certainly does. Nukia's watching for the flank play, holding it down, but might be caught on the cross, and he'll be on his way because Sick has already been taken down, but there it is. ShahZaM trading it back, taking out the star player for G2 in this map so far. That could be a huge blow to the attacking side, but they have got the spike planted. Time is on their side, and as it ticks away ever faster, Sentinels need to make this B retake work. It hasn't been successful for them so far, but they haven't had this kind of weaponry in the past.
This is the Avova spot. This is one of those positions where he sticks in all the time. TENZ on a late flank, he's been spotted. They're expecting him now, but could act as a bit of a distraction. And quickly, Sentinels just drop 3 players. It's left all onto Mixwell, and his burst through the screen is not going to achieve anything. Another solid retake from Sen. It seems like they found their footing.
This is where G2 might get a little bit worried, you know? Sentinels breathing life back into their game. TENZ activated in that little 2-piece that he found towards B long. Now you notice that G2 had the Viper's Pit online for a couple of rounds. They had the A and B site and didn't use it there to secure the round and ended up losing them subsequently. I think at this point, they're going to start to reassess this. A little bit of back and forth by the boys. Sentinels getting their chance to return. I like it. But this is where G2 need to reassess things. Still yet to see a pause come out, which I'm quite surprised considering how things have been going.
Well, for now at least. Both sides still with a purchase in play. Again, they're going to be waiting outside B just for any sort of aggression, and mid, again, is going to be the main hold, at least in the early stages of the round. Maybe expecting that pace change once again from G2, like trying to go for something into mid, because most of the time it's been slow defaults, fighting the extremities, giving space to Nuke to look for openers. He's going to be spotted by the drone. He's got to be careful, because TENZ is on the hunt.
He's backing off now, but TENZ seizes the space right away. Not going to pursue too far. It's over towards this B site that you start to get worried. With SHROUD's in position behind Yellow, he can be isolated. The cross is being watched by SHahZaM, but there's no way they'll go across without a Viper wall down. In fact, it looks like there's no way they'll go across at all. G2 start to relocate. Moving towards the spawn, and it looks like they want to late exec into the A site.
They're going to try and send... Well, it seemed like they were going to send Mixwell through mid. Instead, he's going to double back with the rest of the team. You can see Sentinels have the right idea. Already rotating Dapper through. The remaining players also going to make their move. And as the screen goes down, it looks to try and section the site in 2. But G2, they don't have a lot of time here, and they've given Dapper a slight angle.
Oh, the Boombot gives away his position. He's being blast-packed, but somehow he's able to get a kill from that position. Still alive now as Sentinels gain the man advantage, and there's so little time left. G2 are just being poked and pressured, and by the looks of it, taken down. Avova somehow able to stay alive. He's getting the spike planted. keloqz has come in with 2, and all of a sudden, it's down to Sick. He has to clutch this one out. No idea where Avova might have gone. The wrap could be in play, and he's about to get peeked out by keloqz on the op. This is so tough. He needs an opportunity to take a duel and a close shot, but a whiff. Now as the time ticks away, Sick is taken down easily. They reposition, they relocate, and put an 8th on the board. G2 doing a fantastic job of bouncing back.
And this is a phrase I never thought I'd say, but Sentinels are being out-clutched. Like, that's what we're currently witnessing. Normally they're the team to win these 2v4s, 3v4s, 2v1s, whatever you name it. They're the ones to come out on top, and keloqz, he is on form. I mentioned him at the beginning of the series. Like, if they're going to have a good game, if they're going to be able to challenge versus the previous champions, this man needs to be on form. And, well, boy, is he on form.
Fair to say. It absolutely is. You look at that situation, I mean, there was no way in my mind that that went G2's way.
No.
4v2, lockdown, 10 seconds left. They surely couldn't have gotten the spike planted, and somehow Avova maneuvers around. His timing is perfect.
He gets a kill while planting it the first time.
Absolutely, and then just about manages to evade Sick's position, his sightlines, as he moves around the side, gets the spike planted. keloqz with a double kill that stopped them from pushing down and killing Avova. Like, every piece of that puzzle came together perfectly for G2. That's the kind of round that happens 1 in 100 times.
Well, now we have to see how Sentinels are going to break back from it, because I think the last time we witnessed this map, it was an 8-4 attacking side half for G2. That was enough for them to get it over the line, even though we can sometimes see those attacking comebacks. I feel like Sentinels, at a minimum, need the 4. Like, realistically, it's still not going to be the best of halves for them, but there would still at least be a possibility. Say, for example, they lost the pistol, but at this stage, well, there hasn't been consistency from them. It was a couple of rounds, both in terms of retakes, like their actual holds of the site haven't been exactly going well. This time as well, they even had some sneaky angles behind the utility of G2, which caught G2, and they still lost it.
Now, we all know Hypoc loves to see those retakes get started, but he hasn't seen them at all so far for Sentinels. You know, you've had those 2 rounds that came through, but losing out, I think, arguably more than we've seen them up till now.
Oh, does TENZ hear the footsteps?
I think he did. I
Yeah.
think he might just about have caught them. ShahZaM's ready with the operator for a quick kill, and he's not even the point man on this round. He'll take first contact, but now it's all about buying time for TENZ's flank. And the question is, does anyone on G2 look back towards their spawn? And for now, the answer is definitively no.
Yeah, they've also stacked up the remaining players. There's even one watching into mid just to try and hold off the flank. This is being perfectly played at the moment by Sentinels. They have them trapped, and G2 have to try and fight out. Mixer, though, has been able to find one. And this could give them at least a little bit of space. The problem, though, is the spike has currently dropped all the way back towards 10. So he's called for that little bit of extra support. ShahZaM, though, he misses his shot.
Yeah, he's going to be tagged up massively. Has to be so cautious about any future fights that he wants to take. Waiting for his teammates to rotate into position for G2.
30 seconds left.
Moving around to grab that spike's going to be pretty tough, and Nukin knows that he's about to run into a couple of players. TENZ shutting him down. A third kill for that man in this round, and that pretty much cements the save for G2. If Mixwell finds an opportunity right away, sure, maybe they go for it, but instead he runs right into the operator of Sentinels. It is 8-3.
Last round
and sure,
in the
it's
half.
been an abysmal half for Sentinels, but if they find this one, there's still hope.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's the first time we've actually seen TENZ pop off as well. So that in itself could be a difference maker. Like the first time, I think the G2 haven't caught him as he tried to get a little bit aggressive. We saw in a lot of the early rounds, like there was the Pipes position that he just got killed, I think, 3 or 4 times
He went
in
to
a
8
row.
rounds without a kill in total this half, so that's...
It's been rough,
bizarre.
that's for sure, but the fact that he's now found that 4K, that's more of a danger to me than anything else.
Yeah, most definitely. That is 2K before. It was clean. You saw his aim get warmed up, and now coming in with 4. This is where TENZ becomes revitalized. ShahZaM, operator in hand. This is another shot, and Zoms goes down. The B site under threat. Sick has rotated in, so ShahZaM, tries to get back, but he's caught on the cross. Sick left waiting in the sidelines. No res in play for them coming into this final round, and Kellogg's, he's forced back. He can't cover the plans, but we will have a Viper's Pit activated. That will buy them some space, but if Dapper can manage to find Mixwell here and grab a tag, that could have been huge. But instead, they're using it as a fake. They're running away towards the A site, just leaving Kellogg's here with a Bulldog in hand. He's going to try to shut these guys down.
Oh, this is just the biggest bait of all time.
They've
actually watched in mid as well. They think that there's going to be players. The only problem here could be that they actually get caught from behind. Nuclear, he's going back! TENZ is like, I must be going towards the B site. Sentinels are completely lost in this round, and now he's going to go running through the spawn, and Nuclear's just waiting for him. This is glorious from G2, leaving just Dapper standing to try and pull off a ludicrous clutch.
And he will not even get a Mixwell shutting on 3rd kill of the round, and it's 9-3. Sentinels completely blindsided, assuming that it was about to be a mid-split into the B site, and they found out the hard way that it certainly wasn't.
No, I actually can't believe what we've just witnessed in this half. It's one of those matches where you think that realistically it's going to be back and forth, and sure, G2 managed to take it last time, but, well, we got another half to go, I guess.
Yes, we do, and you know what? I think Sentinels are going to need a breather after that one. Maybe we do too. Let's toss it over to the desk to get some of their opinions on how this one's been going.
Thank you very much, gents. It's looking mighty familiar to the last time around, and in fact, G2 will just do us one better there, Doug. A 9-3 half compared to an 8-4 the last time they were on the attacking side of Icebox against Sentinels.
Almost like there's like a glitch in the Matrix, right? It's like we've been here before, but you're right, just slightly better.
They got the script from the other day and they mixed it up with the one that was supposed to be for today's games.
And then somebody came running on stage like, you can't repeat it. You got to do something different.
Our producer's going to be like, okay, guys, just come on, pretend. Like, we got to...
Just eke out one more, eke out one more. But I love the way in which it's happening so far, Doug, because it's very much the way we were hoping it would. And in fact, this is our Verizon high-speed moment of the day because it comes from Nukier. It's 7 rounds straight for G2. Him leading the charge with kind of speed and aggression we thought would be the difference maker.
Well, and we talked about how for G2 it kind of feels like their win condition has to be momentum. They win the bonus in the first half. They're able to rattle that off to a 7-0 start. And Nukier, 7-0-3 by round 6. He had TENZ's number on A for what felt like an eternity.
And it also just really felt like G2 had so much vigilance in this first half of the game, you know? Like, even all the way back to round number 2 on their anti-eco, they had really good positions to watch for a flank that would come in from Sentinels, which they did try to do, not very successfully. Every time they tried to burst into the A site, there was always so much support on what it was that Nuclear was doing. You had keloqz kind of coming up from behind, Nuclear going in at the front. You know, there were a couple of moments like Dapper managing to survive behind that Viper's wall.
What the heck was that?
I don't really know what that was. And I think once Sentinels actually started to get a handle on their economy, that's where they put in a couple of rounds. We saw TENZ have a couple of good rounds, but for the most part, the vigilance from G2 was incredibly good.
But now, Doug, it's about wrapping it up, right? You can't rest on your laurels. You still got to get 4 more rounds to bring you to 13 and take it. Do you think they can wrap it up in clean fashion here on the back half?
I do, but it's going to have to be clean, right? Like, you can't afford any mistakes. You give Sentinels an inch, they'll take the whole damn mile.
All right, don't give them any breathing room, G2, if you want to take this map number 1. Mitch and Tom, right back to you to get us into the action.
Well, we're ready to jump back into half number 2, and let's hope that there's plenty for Sentinels to do. They have 3 rounds on the board coming out of the first, and you know what? We talk a lot about the 9-3 curse. Maybe G2 have done themselves in on this one.
Yeah, Vansili has been trying his best.
Yeah.
He's been praying to anybody can to try and get Sentinels back into this map. So we'll see. Maybe he has managed to jinx G2, in which case, well, just get him. If that's the case,
get after him.
You might be ruining our series at that point.
Well, Pistol certainly hasn't started out poorly. They've managed to take down TENZ yet again, shutting him down in the early half of the previous map and doing just the same here in the Pistol. Sentinels are gearing up for a B take. Their wall is going to be going up in just a second. There you go. Yeah, the poison orb fades. They pop up their wall. They close in the distance. And now it's popped that wall up to get a plant. Oh, Sick is going all the way through. Of course, he doesn't have the ice wall to play with, so they need to be a bit more aggressive than you'd normally expect. And it works out to take Nukia down, but the shock dart returns the kill.
Still behind the screen. I think Mixwell's expected them to be a little bit further forward, so just waiting for the screen to go down to give them that little bit of extra space. They'll pop theirs back up, but it seems like G2 at the moment is still just looking back towards the A side, just in case there's been that fallout, that fallback. But it's still going to be a pretty awkward spot. One being spotted will allow keloqz to try and reposition and take the battle, but ShahZaM has taken out Mixwell.
That's huge. Viper utility for retake taken out, but so is ShahZaM. It keeps on trading back in G2's favor. Sentinels need a big play, and with Zom's on 2 health, he's going to struggle to get anything done. Sick has to be the clutch man of the round. A 1v2, 10 seconds left, and very little that he can get done. Double digits hit by G2 as they hit 10-3.
I can't believe what I'm watching. We have literally gone for a team not losing a single map at the last LAN event to potentially losing back-to-back iceboxes versus G2, and in a fashion that we never expected.
And you know what, keloqz, a player that we highlighted to start this out, we said, you know, his battle versus TENZ, maybe even his battle versus ShahZaM. He's got 18 kills coming out of that pistol round. That is phenomenal. And for a young player who had a lot of question marks around his name coming into this event, coming into this team, in fact, before we even get to Masters, he is delivering exactly what everybody hoped he would.
Sure, and in fact, we're actually going to see a force spike coming out of Sen. I think they've realized that at this stage of the map, they need to get in and they need to get back into it now. A fast push coming in on towards the A side. Spike actually leading the charge. It could be dropped, but instead, Sick will win himself the duel.
A lot bought up for Sentinels, and they're looking to get the value out of it. Plant coming through. Volva has the flank, but it's being watched. TENZ not able to connect to Volva, even predicting the position correctly. Dapper up above. Will be slowed down, and Nukia's picking up doubles on the site. This is falling apart for Sentinels, an absolute disaster. Zoms tries to step it up, but he's so low he'll be dealt with easily, as will Dapper, and this is 11 for G2. Despite investment coming out of Sentinels, they get nothing done again. A spike plant, but at 11-3, that does not matter.
No, G2 are looking very composed. I think this is one of the things that we have to talk about when this roster, if you go back to even the early challenges before we even get to EMEA, there were moments where they looked like they were in the driver's seat and they crumbled. They would give away jewels. They would lose fights in certain positions and rounds would slip away from them. Instead, they lose the opening pick here. Do they panic? Do they like make aggressive mistakes? No. They look like they come back in as a unit and well, it was a perfect retake. They only lost one man after that point.
You know what? It's pretty easy to be comfortable when you're 10-3 up, and now 11-3 kind of only gets worse. Look at what Sentinels have to play with in this round. They've gone for another full buy. Of course they have, but it's with Spectres, a Guardian, and another Spectre on Zoms. It's a little bit shaky, to say the least. They're going to try to isolate these close-range angles on the A side. There are Viper walls absolutely everywhere, but that gives Sentinels the ability to close in on the site.
Yeah, their weaponry does slightly favor them over what we're currently seeing with no ultimates online. If Kellogg's maybe gets himself a kill, well, actually, no, he's picked up the orb, so he will have his Blade Storm. It's going to be down to that battle of the flank. If he falls, I feel like this round looks very unlikely, but if he can get rid of Dapper, there's a good chance.
Still no plan, just a constant harassment of utility coming towards Sentinels. They managed to trade it back and keep the man advantage out of the hands of G2, but only for a moment. ShahZaM, the last alive, hunted down by Kellogg's to put it 12-3. This is an absolute disaster of a map to kick off the series for Sentinels. Zoms, I mean, you can't even point at him. The whole team has been struggling, and I think that guy had to retake the A site like the first 7 rounds in a row. He was in a 1v4, so I'm not even going to go there. The reality is G2 are just playing a better game. They're outclassing Sentinels on Icebox.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It sets us up for a series and a half, that's for sure, with Sentinels having to fight from a deficit. For now, at least, they're looking for a streak of 9 rounds in a row. I can't say I'm feeling too confident in it. They have managed to spot out Kellogg's in a pretty audacious spot. The ice will use to give him the boost over the top, and he's not going to be able to find the early pick. Sick will also get his res online, so at least an ultimate to play with. And actually, ShahZaM, if he can get the one on the other side, he'll be looking at his Blade Storm.
Well, it starts out poorly with Dapper going down. That operator on range taking the kill. Mixwell might just have heard the drop. There's the distraction shot as he swings out wide. Sick is down. And, you know, okay, they might walk into the A site completely open if they go quick enough, but G2 have a 2-man advantage. They don't care about allowing a site take. They'll play the retake every day of the week.
They can afford to let this one go. Not really wanting to take anything too risky at this stage. A chance for what will be the biggest victory versus Sentinels on LAN on a map. Didn't have to think about that one for long, because they've only lost one other map. For now, though, ShahZaM looking to try and change that, but the trades come back so thick and so fast. It's left all onto TENZ. He's given it a damn good go, but down to 24 HP. He will heal up, and maybe he can keep them in it. It's him versus Kellogg's, the operator facing off against the Guardian, and Kellogg's will close it. A phenomenal map for G2 as they win 13-3.
What an incredible start to this series. G2 came up against F4Q, and they had completely shifted their play style. They had looked at everything that they could possibly do to improve, and they had even surpassed any expectation that I had. And coming into this series, we're seeing the same thing again. A phenomenal map, not just for G2 though, for Kellogg's. We talk about this young guy, we talk about the pressure he's under, and he finishes with a pretty good combat score.
376. We have been talking about the combat score of TENZ for the entirety of this tournament so far because he has been unstoppable. And he just got shut down by, well, a young player coming through into G2, joining the super team. And honestly, I don't know what we've just watched. I don't even quite understand it. But it makes for a good series, because now we got a couple of maps that it's going to have to be maybe an upsell to here.
I mean, you got to be happy with that one if you're a G2 fan. I mean, record set right away, and the pace from start to finish was kept up. G2 might have let a couple things slip here or there, but that was as close to a flawless series as you're going to get out of them and out of anyone, I would imagine, certainly against Sentinels. I'm beyond impressed with the game that we just witnessed, and I reckon you could get some brimstone dances out of that one with the KDA that Kellogg's got. 23 kills, 5 deaths, and 4 assists playing on the Jet up against TENZ and ShahZaM. That is unbelievable.
Well, yeah, up against the best team in the world. Like that's what we're looking at right now. That's the only caveat you could ever give to this. This is the best team in the world. But what we do have to say, the next two maps is something very different. Because although we've seen them lose Icebox twice now, they have never lost another map on land. So Sentinels fans, you don't have to worry too much just yet, because I have a feeling this series could very easily turn on its head.
It definitely could. There's a lot of room for Sentinels to bounce back into this one. They were out of their comfort zone on this map, but now they're about to jump into theirs. But before we get into the next two maps, we're going to throw things over to a quick break.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Failure, by definition, a lack of success.
Take a step back, look at the situation, and say that it's no longer worth it anymore. You don't fail until the moment you raise the white flag and say, I cannot do this. If you are moving forward, you are not failing. You cannot be working towards something and failing at the same time. It is impossible.
Welcome back to Masters Berlin, where G2 has done it again. They take down Sentinels on map 1 in Icebox. This time around, though, Doug, even more dominant than the last.
I have a stat for you.
Hit
Love
me with
stats.
the stat.
Big numbers guy.
All about him.
3146. Do you know what that is?
That's a number.
Do you know what that is?
It's a number. It's a letter. I'll go for something different.
You're not wrong.
Okay.
That's how long it took for G2 to beat Sentinels there.
That is an insanely fast
It
map.
gets better.
Wait, hold on. He didn't say the unit. Seconds, years, like, you know.
Minutes and seconds, but it gets better. That includes timeouts.
Oh, my goodness.
3146, and that was a conversation we had at the beginning, right? You've got to go fast. You've got to go hard.
We laid out win conditions. Yours on this side of the table was speed, aggression, momentum. Make sure you play through it all. And we found all of that in the first half, and we highlighted Nuke. On the other side of the board, Gio, I asked you, and you pointed out one player in particular, and that was Kellogg's, and he was locked in.
Oh yeah, Kellogg's was a beast in that map, and his stats were actually pretty good in their previous game that they played, but he wasn't like that standout guy. And I feel like he and Nuke in this game, they really felt like that duo that you want to see from a super team that G2 are trying to build.
Look at those stats.
What is that? 5.4 KD. That's illegal.
It's 23-5 and 4, as the casters said before we popped down here. That 376 combat score. I mean, just the comparison between the two Jet players, right, is astronomical.
I just wanted to point. Avova is on 4.0 as well, just chilling out down there.
This was a straight shellacking across the board. I mean, that's the thing about it, is that you start to wonder whether or not the whole of NA is shaking in their boots a little bit. I know, as Tom said, the next two maps are a little bit of a different story, but that's the kind of turnaround. When we were talking about, hey, the thing you need to be concerned with is Shaz, and maybe the fact that he's dissected your winning strategies from the previous time around, but in fact, you showed up and you added to your dominance on Icebox.
Yeah, it just somehow got worse, right? I think you're hitting the nail on the head there. That was what we expected, right? Sentinels, they can fall behind a bit, right? Like, they can play from behind, but then there's always that adaptation. There's the micro adjustments that make a difference, and they just were not there.
Look, I just, it's cute and everything that Sentinels have got this far without a coach, but maybe it's time to hire one.
Oh, all right. I'm going to wait till they lose the whole series to maybe start making those calls. But I like
Twitch
it.
chat is gonna
I like where your head's
furious.
at. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, utter domination here this time around. 13-8 last time, 13-3 this time. I will say, though, we caught on the cams afterwards. Sentinels didn't look shaken. Yeah. They had smiles on the faces, straight to a huddle to talk all about it. We know that they're a confident team and that they will likely be able to shake some of that off. But on the flip side, G2, man, that momentum that we're talking about, you can see the energy coursing through them out there on the stage. And now they're thinking about the possibility of split next, or again, now they've guaranteed themselves at least that bind play.
Right.
The thing is, yes, okay, G2 did really well here, but I do still feel like the map veto was won by Sentinels.
We will preview the second map to come in just a moment. For now, we're heading over to Bala, who's over at the Telestrator, to help us break down that G2 dominance.
It certainly was dominance. That might have been one of the craziest map margins I've ever seen. So let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of different things that G2 was doing to enable the players that you guys on the desk pointed out. Kellogg's, Nuke, all of them. So we start off with a couple of default utility that they're using at the beginning of the round every time. First off, a shock dart from Coldamenta. He's paired up here with Nuke on the minimap, and we'll see what that does. Go ahead and roll the clip. This is landing directly on the orb in the center, and we're going to look at ShahZaM's POV. Pause it right as the shock dart. Yeah, you see it in the air. That's landing right down below on the orb and denying any space down below. It's still you can still work through it like ShahZaM is doing by actually using this rope, getting onto the belt, and we'll see how Nuke's actually going against this, right? So here he is, boom, headshot angle, very easy to actually find himself, and we'll see where he's actually standing. Look at this shot from him. You saw on ShahZaM's POV, there was barely anything for him to do. Coldamenta follows this up. This is the 4K round, by the way. He follows this up with a drone. Nuke's peeking on it. Hold on, pause right here. He's following up with a peek down on top of the pipes right here, where it's very difficult for TENZ to really do anything, because he was relying on ShahZaM to be over here, to be holding his belt, to be holding the angle that Nuke's coming from. Meanwhile, you also had Dapper, who right now is tagged up with a little drone. He's tagged up, so he can't be on the headshot angle either. That's behind that little 410 place. So we have now, he's getting ulted. Nuke's gonna follow up, go ahead and roll it. He's gonna follow it up with a nade and push up onto the 410 position himself. and he's gone. You could also watch from Dapper's perspective how he really had nothing to do in this position. Here's where he gets tagged by the drone and then insta-ulted. But what do you do when you're getting trapped between the Hunter's Fury and the nades? That's not very easy to escape. And then finally, of course, the drone. This was just ridiculous stuff from Nuki. A crazy angle, but when we talk about the pre-round utility, look how more difficult it can get. Right, here's one of the slows that Avova uses at the beginning of the round, and we'll look at ZaM's perspective of how he's limited, right? As soon as he's falling away, pause it, you see that slow orb. All of this area is really controlled by him, and the wall that ZaM's is using by default makes it difficult for him to really see what's happening on the other side. So very difficult if that's paired up with shock darts or anything else. Go ahead and roll it. We have a couple more little utility pieces that constrict Sentinels the entire way. Another slow orb, and watch, double shock dart landing right in front of TENZ. Pause it right there. Right in front of TENZ. The slow orb and the shock dart combination, if that was him going for the orb for whatever reason, if he was very close to an ult or something like that, you see Sentinels do that all the time, trying to grab the knives. Well, you're dead in that situation. So this is off limits at this point. This entire area you cannot cross unless you try to do what ShahZaM did. Completely off limits, and that's very much part of Sentinel's game plan the entire time. Roll the rest of it, because I do want to show a little bit from Sentinel's POV as well, how they're using their utility at the beginning of the round to constrict. For example, what Avova just did with his slows. Here's Dapper throwing a shock dart combined with his recon bolt, but also combined with a little Viper Molly there that, if landed, will make you vulnerable, will make you take extra damage, and it's very difficult to stay back away from that and then really pounce on the plays. That buys you the time that you need to get in positions like down the B lane, and something that Sentinels is very good at. But this entire time, the utility was really being used to enable G2's players like Nuki and keloqz to really get involved in the space that they're taking at the beginning.
Thank you so much, Bala. What an incredible breakdown of how that utility aids the duelists on the side of G2 in terms of getting into the site, finding those picks, and opening up space to really take each of those rounds, again, resulting in a very dominant map 1. But this is where things get harder almost for G2, because, Joe, you mentioned it still kind of feels like Sentinels one map select, and there's 2 maps to go.
Well, yeah, I mean, we spoke about Icebox being that map that was going to potentially benefit G2. There was always the chance the Sentinels were going to outstrat them, but we really knew that these other 2 maps, Bind was a risk in and of itself, Split specifically being Sentinel's actual pick, and they had a much more dominant go at it over G2 in their first series they played against each other.
All right, so here we go on to Split. Doug, give me your take.
Yeah, I think Sentinels bounce back here. I think there's no world in which a sweep happens here. I think Sentinels are just too deep. There's way too much going on there. It was a great start for G2, and I think they've got things cooking for them, right? They hit the win conditions that we talked about on Icebox. This map is like the one spot that we don't expect them to perform exceptionally well on, right? I think for them, get to Bind.
Right,
yeah.
It's all about getting to Bind, but we do need to talk about how Sentinels will ultimately pull it back. What about their split play makes it so hard to get through?
For me, I think there were 2 really big things that they were very good at doing against G2. One of them was finding exploits and gaps in their defense. So, for example, there would be times where Sentinels were looking to push into A, and G2 wouldn't have anyone on ramps, for example. And that gave Sentinels a nice opening up into Heaven, which would be heavily defended, but by the time they were in that space, they could actually do something about it. The other thing is drawing utility out from G2. For example, they would push up through mid into male, and they would ensure that G2 used their paint shells, and then TENZ would just bring out his Lear, push on forward, and suddenly B Heaven is yours. And that was something they did very well.
Straight into Prime Gaming Agent Select we go, and you will notice that while we were showing Omen over there, Avova is hopping to the Astra. That is, in fact, what he played the last time around on Split, so not much of a difference so far from the first outing for both of these teams.
Yeah, it looks like Holdemensa is going to be locking in the Killjoy as well. So, yeah, pretty standard across the board, Dapper, ShahZaM. So, I don't necessarily expect a ton different here as far as compositions go. I will say that, and this is kind of insane that I'm saying this.
That's a difference. Mixwell on Raze?
That is different.
Okay.
Because it was Nuki on Raze last time. Now
keloqz
he's
too.
hopping to the Reyna. Mixwell takes the Raze,
keloqz.
and the Sage goes over to keloqz.
Yeah, I mean, there is no Jet being picked here. The last composition they played was the Killjoy, Astra, Raze, Jet, and Sage. So moving, and even before then, it was kind of totally different because they were playing with Cyphers and Omens. So this is This is fresh.
Well, but you know what? We were talking about this like it was a predetermined result. And at the very least, G2 is coming to the table with something different. And so I'm quite curious myself what Mitch and Tom have to say about Agent Select here for the side of G2 as we hop into map number 2, Split. Jens, take it away.
Well, I have to say, that Nukia pick kind of caught me off guard a little bit, but I don't know if that was rehearsed or if he's just feeling it after that first map.
Yeah, I wouldn't really blame him. Like, I think especially, like, Mixwell going back to a duelist is the thing that excites me the most, because it's like, that was what he almost defined himself as when we came into Valorant. Like, he was one of the top pros coming over and picking that up, so I'm excited to see it. Hopefully, we get a closer map.
Well, let's hope so. As we kick off the pistol here on Split, Sentinels have suffered a crushing defeat, and now they're looking for revenge. Nukia picking up the first to take down Sick here in the pistol. That puts a bit of a sour taste in Sentinel's mouth.
It's not going to be the greatest start of all time, but they are still going to take quite a bit of control, already pushing their way up the ramp and just having a little bit of a look on the flank. Just check no one's coming through so quickly. It's going to have to be a push forward from Dapper. He gets caught up by the nade, and Yuki's already found another.
TENZ, low HP as well, and here comes the blast pack. Ambitious from Mixwell, but he's got teammates to trade. And just like that, G2 continue the streak. They put it 1-0 here on Split. Not the start that Sentinels were hoping for.
Oh, for sure. This is reminding me again of like that old school like Heretics comp where it was just we use our individual skill on the defensive side to just win basically every round just off brilliance. Like, it's not so much about like slowing players down. You got a Vova, I guess you've still got Kellogg's going over to the Sage to try and deny some of the space, but I expect Mixwell and Yuki to be very aggressive in this map.
You know what? Yinsu was telling us backstage that Sentinels, on that last map, we suspected it was one of the worst defeats they'd ever suffered because there haven't been that many. And they lost 13-3 to 100 Thieves long ago. That was a single map. But now, this is the only other time they've had anything even remotely close.
Already. We'll see if they can get anything done in this round. Again, we're just looking to see if they can make things a little bit more costly. You've got TENZ with his Sheriff in hand, but everyone else just trying to save up as much as possible. And for the opposing side, this is about not only keeping all the weaponry available to them, but more importantly, getting some ult orbs online.
Yeah, most definitely. There's a lot to farm up in this round. G2 don't want to give away too much, and that's why they're really turtled in. They're playing a B retake, hoping to slow down their opponents with utility if it comes to it. And with 50 seconds left, Sentinels have set a trap. They're waiting for G2 to run into middle. They feed right into Sentinels' hand, but nothing goes their way. These weaker pistols completely dealt with, and it's the long-range fight that they win out. Somehow, Dapper outranges Avova. But I don't think he's going to get much more done, Tom.
He gets an ultimate orb. In fact, he gets two for the kill as well. So it's at least a little bit of something. He's waiting as well, and actually, it's the wrong angle checked initially. But hey, they only lose one player. It's not going to be too bad for G2. And for Sentinels, they invested basically nothing. So can't write too much about it.
Unlike what we talked about on Icebox, here they did invest into full Spectres. So many close-range duels that they can take. They want to have some sort of an advantage coming into the next round. And the sad thing is, obviously, losing one does mean quite a decent chunk of reinvestment. At the same time, it is definitely not the worst thing that could have happened. With Sentinels buying up fully here, we will not see an operator just yet. I mean, there simply are not the funds to allow it.
Oh, for sure. And I think especially, well, when he goes onto the defensive side, ShahZaM, I expect him to be running right at Nukia. This is what I mean. Like, he's going to be taking these aggressive fights, I believe, even into the buy rounds, using that Reyna exactly for that purpose, almost countering the exact thing the TENZ is going to try and do on the other side. This time, though, it hasn't worked out. The sight has fallen. Now, the Spike still has to rotate in, and there's going to be a slightly more aggressive rotation coming out from Kellogg's to try and spot them as they go through.
Sentinels have such a huge advantage in all the ranged fights that they take. With a minute left, they don't need to feel shoehorned into pushing just yet, but they have obviously got the side. That was an ambitious play by Mixwell. Been watching some bunny VODs, has he? So they won't be getting anything done here in Avova. Well, trying to make it costly, a double kill for him before he eventually goes down. And that was starting out as a pretty terrible round, but Avova just managed to make it a decent one for them in the end.
Yeah, it was very controlled by Sentinels. They made sure that all the avenues were like blocked off as they went to cross into the site. You had Dapper's Poison Orb, making sure that nobody could make a play through the ramp. And it was really only, I think the small ideas that were there from G2, like you had the Gravity Well at the back of the site, trying to pull someone in as they used the nade to clear the corner. Nice ideas, but they don't really get much from it other than the couple of kills from Avova. So we're going to see an investment back in. It's actually still not perfect, though. keloqz is only going to have a pistol.
Yeah, not ideal. I mean, from what we've seen of keloqz in the past, this guy in the last map had one of the best ones that we've seen from him in recent memory, and considering who he was up against, he's definitely someone you'd want a rifle in hand with. But you look at what he's playing right now. The fact that they have pivoted him over to the Sage, despite such a good series, and that's where sometimes you make those changes. You allow someone to play comfort, but giving Nukia, with all the openings he found in the attack, that Reyna could be absolutely massive. To start this one out, keloqz goes down right away, but Mixwell's good for a trade. Problem is they're fully stacked up on this A site now. You only have Avova playing B all by himself.
Yeah, he doesn't have much utility available to him either. The stars already being placed means he'll at least be able to slow down the push from B main. And of course, the wall is not going to last long at all, so he'll just have to try and recall some of the utility that he already had, just to give him an opportunity. Now, the Leer should be heard. This will pull one of the rotations, but Coldamentor is very far away.
The pull but no spam. This sort of sells the fact that he's not on the back site, and then he baits them in and takes the kill. Now, as they come ever closer, he's good for his second. Avova holding this one down all by himself, and his teammates are rallying to his side. Avova has done a spectacular job of not giving away that advantage or the site control, and they don't even get to step on the site before they're taken down. Great answer by G2 in round 4.
Yeah, this is one of those roster moves where I think a lot of the time when you saw the players being picked up from Heretics, people were looking at Nukia as the focal point. Okay, this is the man that's being retrieved. Oh, they've got Avova as well. The way that he plays is some of the most beautiful Valorant you're ever going to see. Whatever agent that he decides to pick up, the utility that he uses is just so superb. And the fact that he not only delayed them, then had the smoke and survives, that's ludicrous.
Shout out our French viewers who understood what keloqz just said. Let's,
or maybe not. We don't know what he said.
Oh, yeah. I think I do. But we'll breeze straight past it. It's 3-1 here. And keloqz is definitely happy that they're beating Sentinels for now. This attack side Sentinels, though, have got plenty of time to get those gears rolling. Yeah. This is so early on. On the attack side is split. You can expect to see much more on their defense. So pretty much the win conditions for G2 are being ticked right now, but they need to keep up this pace and not crumble to a weaker buyout of Sentinels. And even that pistol in the hands of ShahZaM, he's got a Blade Storm to play with. So there's actually, it's deceptively strong on the attack side.
They're going to start to make the play into mid, and it's actually just going to be given up by Mixwell. He's actually got his showstopper. He's going back, just at least holding them back, delaying them for the moment. If he can find anything here, it would be huge. And in fact, Sentinels are just going to give up all of the control they've just taken. Sure, he might not get a kill from it, but that ult was still valuable.
He puts it down to 45 seconds left as they come into the later stage of the round. This really disrupts the tempo of Sentinels, and TENZ wants to catch something as he moves out towards the site. His teammates coming in through heaven as we speak. The nade forces him back. Now they can split this push and just look to take down the heaven players. Mixwell does exactly that, but ShahZaM, it's a beautiful right click to take him down. Sadly, no one else is able to answer up on the Sentinel side, leaving Zoms to fend for himself. They are coming up above, and he has nothing to do here with a classic. After he runs out of ammo, G2 pick up a fourth. They are steaming into the lead.
I'm really impressed. It's just the, not even like the frags that they're finding, sure, that's nice along the way. It's just how well they're doing to delay Sentinels with all the control they want. Like, they're making them hesitate, delaying for 10 seconds. Then the second somebody comes pushing through, they have a nade to try and slow them down a little bit, just so things are a little bit more disjointed. And that is enough for them to either get rotations in or just pick a duel that's a little bit more favorable. And those slight differences are giving them fairly big advantages in a lot of these rounds.
G2's reads, adaptations, and ability to look at a push and identify this is a split. Let's slow down one side of it and fight the other. Absolutely beautiful. But now they face a very different brand of Valorant. Up against these pistols, we expect Sentinels to play it very differently. And it starts out with what is essentially a default. They are looking to bait some players into open combat so they can take some fights. In terms of ults, Sick and TENZ just about to crescendo into theirs, and that could be massive for them. Maybe not in this round, coming into the later ones, but it all depends on whether G2 give them an opportunity here and now.
But I think they've realized as well that G2 are rotating quite quickly. They're using their utility to delay as much as possible, so they've gone very quickly into the A site and then had some peeks elsewhere, because for a moment, Avova was completely alone. So if he goes down, there's much more of a problem. I think that's going to play a big part in this half. If they can start to isolate Avova, this becomes a very different map.
It does indeed, but for now, they're running right into the A side, and Nuke is holding up close. Phantom in hand, fades on out. Doesn't want to give more than the one kill they've already got, but TENZ creeps his way into the vents. Now he's going to rifle, but he hasn't got a life anymore. Nuke is still going and farming up a third, possibly even the fourth. He gives that over to keloqz. Let him get some ult orbs. What a nice guy. With Zoms left alone, he can only hope to do some damage with the Sheriff, and he certainly has, shutting keloqz down. But that little bit of a dent into the economy, I mean, they have to answer up in the buy rounds for that to matter.
Yeah, they basically need to get something onto the board, and again, it's been an incredibly slow start for TENZ. It's been a surprising series. As said, like, TENZ on LAN, it was a question we asked at the last event. Like, when he was in Counter-Strike, it didn't really go anywhere near as well.
Yep.
He comes into Valorant, incredible online, gets to LAN, he's the best player in the world. In this series, he's been missing, and it is incredibly noticeable.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of conversation about him, though, and people saying, you know, okay, he was godlike on LAN, but is that going to happen every time? No. And you need something else for it to work with when it doesn't. Mixwell's being sucked in, but he's managing to get out of the gravity well and make it back towards the top of middle. That operator stays in, and even though they've rezzed up, they still have a man disadvantage. Mixwell is giving them no space to breathe. In fact, looking to take TENZ down yet again, but they'll eventually concede control. Allow middle to go into Sentinel's hands, but at a heavy, heavy cost.
Yeah, they still have a man disadvantage, even with the res currently in play. You've got Coldamenta waiting as well with pretty much his full set of utility alongside a star as well from Avova, so you can look to try and pull any close players, but again, it's just delaying them that little bit further as they try and make their way through. This time, though, they do manage to destroy the second Nano Swarm. So he's not going to be able to do much damage.
Get that utility on the replay after on the EVS. We need that on the big screen. That was absolutely gorgeous, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. There's no time because Sentinels are rushing in towards this side. Good trade to start it out. Coldamenta holding close still, only good for the one. The operator misses, and TENZ might just have shown up when they needed him. 3 kills out of this young man. But the problem is, even though they've ulted sight, they don't have spike. It's held up above by Nukia, waiting for TENZ to come up the ropes. And he does. That is the spike retrieved, and what should be an easy plant, and a very difficult clutch out of keloqz. The position he's in, though, will they expect it? He's wrapped all the way through middle, come up behind them and be main. Sadly, he doesn't quite catch the jump on them. And he'll have to give away his position pretty soon.
Yeah, they'll have worked it out by now.
Yep.
They're already clearing the back of the site. They've made it through to the spawn as well, and it seems like they have an incredibly good idea of where the last man of G2 is standing. TENZ has exploded into the server, but can keloqz ruin it for the side of Sentinels? Absolutely not. TENZ goes from bottom of the scoreboard to top in one round, and who's surprised?
An ace out of this guy. We talked about him having a slow start in the previous map, and certainly a slow start here. He was the first to fall in the pistol round, and since then we haven't seen anything from him. He's just been shut down again and again. But in this round here, even though we see so much go G2's way in the early stages, they slap back with TENZ. An ace out of him to put 2 on the board. Problem is, you know, because so many of these rounds have been hard fought over on their side and not won for quite a while, they don't have cash. And Zoms and Sick both have to play with a Spectre. In fact, they nearly lose TENZ again at the start of this round, and there would be no res to bring him back.
Yeah, they basically used all of their ultimates up into the last round as well, so there is nothing to play with other than the weaponry they have, which, as you just mentioned, is not exactly great. Still a few pieces missing here and there for G2 as well, but with Mixwell back on that operator, honestly, I feel like I've gone back like 6 months. Like, seeing him back on the operator, it's like, wait, that's Mixwell? That's weird, but I'm very happy to see it again.
And we went from Jet, we went over to Raze, and then obviously he swapped up quite a bit, but A reformed roster allows for these sort of things to happen. Sentinels sending a few players in through middle. That's where the spike is, but it won't be able to move all too far forward. They are using a lot of utility to keep them out. The lockdown surely going to be a big problem for them. In fact, Sentinels are rushing onto the site. They're going to try to get out the other side of it, and they will. They've made it all the way through. Huge commitment from G2, and it sees practically no reward. The spike retrieved. Can Sick get out of there, though? Oh, no! Mixwell whiff, and that might just have given them the opening. Coldamenta not able to answer up when needed, and Nukia has to clutch it out.
1 versus 3, and he's not even going to get a second's notice. Sentinels are broken back, and again, we've seen a few ultimates now used for G2, trying to delay them, but just getting swarmed on through heaven. And it will put them onto the board with 3. And as said, in the last round, G2 had a piece or two missing. They're going to take themselves a timeout, because the likelihood is in this round at least, they're not going to be able to do much at all.
Yeah, we don't expect to see a force buy out of these guys at this stage, but a timeout to figure out how best to allocate those resources. Defensive side pistols, you have so many choices. Do you hold the normal default and hope that the sheriffs that they presumably will buy up into are going to be enough to take those duels? Do you try to rush down a part of the map? And how are you going to use your Astra utility, for example? Something that can be so instrumental alongside, for example, a nade out of Mixwell, which is a compositional choice that I absolutely adore. Seeing an Astra as well. And we've actually, so let me take this moment to say, in B Tower, we saw that there were 2 nanoswarms down and an Astra Star. They used the deeper molly first, the deeper nanoswarm, to try and get them to bait, you know, often when you see
ruining Barla's
segment, the edge of it.
Is that what you're doing? Are you stealing
the gravity
his thunder?
well pulls them in, and nanoswarm,
Mitch.
it's a free kill. Just sadly, they didn't fall for it.
I'm sure Barla will find something better anyway, you know? If you spotted it, then it's probably not that special.
Oh, yeah. Sean said, if my tiny brain can comprehend it.
Yeah, of course, you know. If you saw it, then I'm pretty sure Twitch chat was just like, what's he talking about? That one was easy.
Obvious,
like, I saw that one 3 rounds ago. He just missed it.
So we had that timeout called in, and now we're going to be jumping into the game again. 10 seconds left on the buy phase, and you see G2 are playing with mostly pistols. It's sheriffs and a frenzy. Not really going to be any ultimates committed, you would imagine, and this is where Sentinels should just be able to farm up cash.
Okay, Kellogg's going to be a little bit cheeky here. He's not baiting a shot out of ShahZaM. Again, though, although the ultimates are one-off for a couple of them, I feel like they need to find something first before anything comes through, and Sick is just going to farm up a couple of his own, leaving 3 players remaining. Now, 2 of them aren't going to be at least in the right spot, but they're just being picked apart. Every duel being won by the side of Sentinels. What started off as a scary prospect going into their map choice now starts to look pretty good. We do have to bear in mind, Mitch, they are on the attacking side of Split, and we put this map over at least a bit to the defensive side.
Most definitely, and it's that ace out of TENZ that's a huge turning point for the side. Now up to 4 rounds, which is already workable, especially if they can build on it from here. And the way things have been going, that seems like a probability more so than a possibility.
Yeah, this was a pretty nice round. A Prime Gaming flawless. We've spoken about both teams' economy so far in this matchup, and basically said that neither of them have really had perfect buys a lot of the time. So the fact that Sentinels have now been able to earn up those extra credits, chances are they'll have themselves at least a bit of a back burner in case this round does slip away from them. But with the purchase they've got coming in, I don't know. I'm getting a little bit worried for G2. I want to see a response.
Well, in that last round, they tried to push up in B main. Mixwell died, but even if he hadn't gotten a kill or died, he could have taken the ult orb to put that showstopper online. It could have been a difference maker in the previous round, and this time around, they'll hope that it's a difference maker now. Unfortunately, with a 3-man play towards the B side, more pretty conventional hold, G2 have stacked up the wrong side. They've used their wall early on A, but as that gets broken up, now they're in a bit of a tough spot. The cross now possible for Sentinels as they move in towards Heaven. And it's only Kellogg's that can hold that. And with a res online, he'll be a bit cautious about taking over aggressive fights.
It is Kellogg's. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. It looks like he's trying to be a little bit sneaky, in fact, behind the screen that's been put down. Sick is actually trying to sell this as a fake, and they pulled a couple of rotations. In fact, 4 of the players were going towards B. The thing is, though, I think they've realized that it was just a fake.
The
Sentinels haven't really capitalized on the space they've been given just yet, and although it did initially move players out of position,
30 seconds
G2
left.
is still hesitant.
They've really slowed this one down on the Sentinel side. It surprises me. 25 seconds left. Now they know Raze is here, and that means the showstopper is too. But with 20 seconds, they have no choice but to go. Here comes the showstopper. That's going to slow them down. In fact, it's going to pick off TENZ, the difference maker in a lot of these rounds. 10 seconds left. They still need to deal with Avova on the site.
Oh!
And they've walked right past him. Avova somehow connected that second shot as well. He's got 3 on the board, and the round is G2's. A spectacular play on that site from Avova, but you have to ask yourself, what was the plan from Sentinels?
Yeah, I think they were just a little bit too hesitant in that round. Like, you look at the play that they made, and it was brilliant. Like, the initial start to that round of throwing in the Sage Wall over on the other side of the map, pulled 4 players away. There was 1 already there, and the other 3 started rotating. They make the move then on towards the A site. I think they win that round easily. It would have only been Avova to defend it. The way he played in that round, though, was beautiful. Using his own cosmic divide to lock them out and force them to push through, and they just weren't able to clear him.
And the spray transfer he hit, and the first bullet is a headshot. He couldn't even see the guy. Just presumed, hey, someone else is going to be running through the wall soon, right? And he was certainly right. Huge 3K from him to put 6 on the board for G2. They're pushing up for 8, and if they can get there, it's still a decent half. Considering how things started, they won't be exactly happy, but when TENZ pulls out an ace, what can you do? So far, though, since then, you know, TENZ has found it a little bit tough to really get in there, and hit by a showstopper in the previous round. That shut him down right in his tracks.
Again, it looks like they're going to try and go for this Heaven split. It's definitely been one of the successes that we've seen so far. The smoke will at least negate the turret for the moment, and Dapper is in a perfect position. They expect him, but they don't manage to find the kill. Now, the trade's all right, but this will actually spot out the luck. So for the remaining players of G2, they can actually stack up B.
Try to make a little jump above the wall, see if anyone was there. Down close is clear. There's a Lear back sight. They know where Nukia is, but they still haven't spotted Koldamenta. They know he's around here because his turret was chiming off, and now in comes Kellogg's, with Koldamenta, Nukia back sight, and Avova up in heaven. The whole team chipping in to win that one out. 7 on the board for G2, and Sentinels, despite having plenty of ultis to use in this final round, they kind of need it. They want to push up to 5 ahead of the next half, especially with how the pistols have gone for them so far.
Yeah, no, so again, some good adaptations from G2. After losing mid control, they don't just sit static. They take some A control, give themselves the fact, okay, there's no one on this A site, so they can dedicate those other players in, and then it was just the crossfires. And that's something that I think, again, G2 have developed fantastically from even EMEA to now. It's just the interplay from these players has been so much better.
Final round of the half. Everything on the table. TENZ starting this one out with a Guardian. But look at what they have to work with over on that side. TENZ can obviously go for his Empress. You have a Viper's Pit and a Res available, but Res for both teams. They've got to be careful about these early duels because they can be reset on you so quickly. Minute 15, TENZ goes down. Op shot connected, and this is where they probably look to move over and get him back online. But the problem is Mixwell's close by. He can lob in a nade the second that they pop the res, and Koldamenta's covering the heaven push.
Yeah, he's trying to play off of his turret. It's definitely predicted. You can even see the second bullet going almost straight where he would have been if he decided to try and swing out on that. TENZ is going to be brought back, and there's not really anything they can do about it. Even having the gravity well to try and pull them back here. Again, it's going to be the split onto the site. There's Nukia at the backlines, but it's a collab from Mixwell. He will come away with 2 kills, and it's left to ShahZaM trying to hold on here. Another solid hold from G2 as they take the half 8-4.
Great play by Sentinels at the start. They knew exactly what they needed to do when they lost TENZ. They knew that the nade would be coming for them, so they make that split through mid. They start to pressure. As soon as the nade is heard, that's when the res comes through. They reset the round. They look for the push, and they find nothing. Mixwell with a huge collat at just the right moment to put 8 on the board. Now, Tom, we have got an exciting second half coming. This could be the first loss that Sentinels experience in a series internationally. But before we get into half number 2, we got to throw things over to the desk.
And boys, I am worried, Mitch and Tom. I'm curious to see what Doug and Gio think as well. Last time around on Split for attack, it was 8-4, but in Sentinel's favor going into the half. G2 has once again flipped the script. They find themselves up 8-4 in this one.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. There are a lot of EU fans out there that are feeling very smug right now. So I had a message from a friend.
Deservedly so.
I had a message from a friend of mine who was like, the hopium is a critical mass, and I was like, yeah.
I mean, it's exactly that.
Yeah, I just think, again, G2 started off hot, right? They were up 5-1. This is 3 out of 3 that G2 are on pistols in this series, so they're able to get that. Yeah, they didn't win the bonus this time around, but they've been able to really pile it on, work on that momentum. Nuke once again had a hot start, but the surprise for me has been Avova.
Absolutely, finding plenty of kills for himself on that Astra. Again, that is actually one of the agents that stayed the same between the split map from last time to now, and this time he's just finding his shots.
Well, I just think the way that G2's defensive setups have influenced where Sentinels have to play means they have so much information that they can hand over to Avova, who's playing that anchor position, so wherever Sentinels are coming from, he knows.
And now, when we talk about the back half of this map and looking to extend to 3, because I think most people out there want to see a third map, right? So for Sentinels, they got to cobble something together, Doug. I think you already called something out that's going to be integral. The pistol round. Yep. Because last time on Split, Sentinels won both pistols on either side. And as you mentioned today, they haven't won a single one across either map.
No, and I think that the deficit's in a spot right now to where you can afford to drop the pistol. It certainly wouldn't feel good, but I think the big difference is statistically their defensive half on Split is very good.
And from UGO, I want to know which player the pressure's on when it comes to Sentinels. Who needs to step it up?
All of them. You need to start winning, boys.
Well, it's got to start with somebody. Who do you want to see pop off?
Oh, I mean, obviously TENZ.
All right, there it is. We're calling it out. Kellogg's is serving up some shots, so it's up to TENZ to do the same. We're back over to Mitch and Tom for the call.
Thank you very much, Dash. Here we go, jumping right back into the fray. When we left things, G2 had just had a phenomenal time on that defensive side. And Sentinels, they finish on 4, but if TENZ didn't pull out that ace, this could be looking so much worse for them.
Yeah, a surprising half once again, but I'm going to be honest. I will never count Sentinels out until the whistle is blown. Like, this is a team that have pulled off so many comebacks in the past, didn't even lose a map the last time they played a LAN event, so I'm not going to get too worried for them just yet. Aggressive start to the round, already looking to try and fight into middle. A lot of damage done onto Kellogg's, and TENZ is going to duck away. They can't quite hunt him down. He'll escape into the ropes, where he has a little bit of backup.
Yeah, TENZ and friends looking to take this fight together, and TENZ knows there's an alarm bot up close. But now he might have the advantage as he swings on this fight. The Frenzy in play. Beautiful shot to take Coldamenta down. And G2, 3 versus 5. This pistol could be huge for Sentinels to give them that little bit of a boost into the half that they may so desperately need. For now, at least, things are looking incredible. How did he get a headshot out of that with the Frenzy spray down mid? The damage will be healed up on. That's the only problem.
It's given Nuke that little bit of extra HP. Now, he doesn't have any more of those, so you're not going to see him heal up once again. And the rest of the team are now looking to make their move in towards the A side. Now, there's a couple of stars available for them to at least try and slow down this push. And the problem for G2 is there's not a lot of time. They're going to try and take that elevated angle across, but it is clean from Sentinels, leaving just one man standing. Avova with 15 seconds left. This pistol has gone the way of Sentinels.
Yes, it most definitely has. Sentinels pushing up to 5 now. This was the start to the half that they needed. A disappointing start to the series, in fact. Not just the previous half. We could have seen 2 rounds for them on the board if it wasn't for this man here. And now he shows up yet again when they desperately need him. Sentinels are going to make the comeback start now, just 3 away from G2.
This is, again, a round where we expect Sentinels to dominate. Just a few pistols purchased up, maybe a little bit more invested than you might normally see with the Sheriffs on a couple of players from the side of G2. So they want to try and make this one as costly as possible, remove a few of those guns ready for the buy round. And on the other side, it's basically the same as what we saw in the last half. It's going to be Spectres across the board.
Pistols break the wall in the early round, but you have to question, how much can you really expect from these guys when you have these weak weapons. And sure, Coldamenta can do some damage. I'm looking at Nuke more so. That guy with a Sheriff in hand, that's where things can get a little bit scary. And Sentinels have invested decently, especially over on Dapper. He's actually got a Phantom coming into round number 2. All right.
Okay.
Well, I guess Nuki's not going to do anything.
Yeah, no, it was an attempt for G2 to almost just go dark, sit back and go, okay, there's nobody here. The spam through from ShahZaM is going to at least earn him a little bit. They don't even know the Sick is waiting in this corner. A spray down to farm him an extra few orbs. And now Kellogg's, if he can get an extra kill here, I'd say this is a success.
Yeah, definitely. It's just about doing damage in a round like this. That's why they've only invested partially.
30 seconds
You know he sure can do the damage if he's given the opportunity. TENZ, in fact, going very aggressive. He's on top of the box. Another kill for Kellogg's. He's going out for more. And I mean, he gave a little bit of a haircut away, but TENZ walks out looking fresh. It is 8-6. But with 2 players dropped, bare minimum has been achieved for G2.
Yeah, it's not bad. They did invest a little bit more than maybe they would have done previously, but the fact is they've made it a bit more costly than Sentinels would have liked, and now they come back in with a buy round. Now, I'm interested to see how much Sentinels actually invest into this one. Are they going to pull up rifles alongside it? Well, yes, they are.
It was nice for Sick as well, finding all those kills. He's now coming pretty close to his ultimate being online, and having that res can just allow you that little bit of extra space to make a mistake and reset the round and go again. Dapper, he's going a little bit aggressive on B main. I like that. Jump spot in the early stages. Here's the boom bot, drops the orb, and just gets the hell out of there. And the most important thing is this stops them from really getting that ult orb themselves. TENZ blinded up by the Leer, and so they have time to take him down. Sure. Oh, what is that from Dapper? Sick drop shotting down, but Dapper doesn't need any help. He's already picked up 3, and he stops them from crossing to the site. That wall broken instantaneously. What a hold from this man.
Yeah, he looked a little bit less comfortable, I'd say, when it came to his Sova play on Icebox, but I don't think anybody's out there doubting his Viper, something we can expect to see in the next map as well if we do end up on Bind, but Dapper just holding down a few crazy shots to connect, and okay, Avova is on today. He will drop the Danger Man, at least in this round, and with 45 seconds, there is still time for G2 to play with.
But if Kellogg's goes down here, that's the spike on the floor, and he turns at just the wrong moment. ShahZaM with godlike timing, putting it down. 30 seconds left in the round. Spike to be retrieved, and Sentinels are starting to set up to punish it. Avova strikes at the right moment. He has a read on Sick, and he shut him down too. 3 kills for Avova, and he needs to find the 4th with 50 HP. He's made the right gamble, going for the A site where the plant will be his. But Zoms is looking a whole lot healthier. Oh, if he put 1 star down now and got a pull off, he could actually win the round. But that's a little bit much to expect. The plant's coming in now, and we will have a 1v1 setup.
There's a fairly long rotation, and it gives time for a reposition. Avova almost has to take an off angle here, but Zoms almost definitely going to be predicting this aggressive play. It needs to be the headshot, and Zoms is going to close out the round. A big victory here for Sentinels. It might be looking like a almost back and forth in this one, but this was their bonus. This wasn't a full buy, and now they get, well, at least 1 weapon upgraded, and the victory, more importantly, taking them just 1 away.
Yeah, it really comes down to that. A poor start on the push through B. It looked great, but the fact that Dapper is able to get away with this many kills, the first is acceptable. What was that? I've seen it back now, and I still don't understand. And it's placing the snake bite down immediately, repositioning to take the fight if they try to punish him. He's guaranteeing that he either gets the kill for free, or he gets another kill when they push on through.
But now, again, it's not going to be the biggest of investments. Avova can put maybe a bit more than others into this round just based off the amount of kills he managed to get, but realistically, the only thing they have is the Cosmic Divide, which maybe it can get you a plant, maybe it can get you a little bit of space, but it's not an ultimate that on its own can win you a round.
Yeah, definitely. It's not, a lot of the time it's not an ultimate that does a lot for you in general. It's basically a smoke, right? Blocking off the 1 angle here or there. Sometimes allowing a few deeper plays. That is one hell of a shot. TENZ needs to run. Caught between a snake bite and a nade. ShahZaM's taken down. Leer going out. They've got this site control, and there's nothing Sick can do with the Leer being up, but Zoms and Sick combine to take that double, shutting down the attempted push by G2 and making this next to impossible for them to get anything done, especially if TENZ kept fragging like that. But with him falling, Kellogg's might have an opportunity, but he didn't expect that. I mean, how could you? Sick is just running at them, leaving Avova to clutch again, and it will not happen. 8-8. A weak buy by G2. They get 2 kills. It's acceptable, but Sentinels are right back in this now as we tie it up.
Yeah, and we're starting to see the stars of the show really step up to the plate. Dapper at the top of the board, Sick and TENZ just behind him. Like, these are the players that we know can take over this map if G2 let them, and well, they've already evened up the scoreline without having to have those massive pop-off rounds in the second half. So this is where we need to see the change from G2, because otherwise I could easily see them just closing this one out.
Yeah, most definitely. With the way things have been going right now, Sentinels started terribly, and they have snowballed over the last couple of rounds. It was tough on the attack, but that was the point we made. When they swap over to the defense, you can see so much more going their way. And we haven't even really seen ShahZaM on that operator start to show up. And on this map in particular, he can do so much with that weapon when given the chance.
Yeah, you'll see him basically lock down different portions of the map, different aggression over towards A ramp, maybe even the odd B peak, and I think middle is obviously going to be that personal favorite of his, but more importantly, they can even set up these more passive opportunities where you just have that A site on lock without any real rotations being necessary. So it's a big element to their play, definitely something that they use TENZ to play off of as well, so it's a scary prospect. And for G2, well, we've seen them have a decent defensive half, but we're waiting to see if the attack is going to match up or if it's just going to be the same as what happened previously.
I fully believe I went months without seeing G2 call a tactical timeout at a certain stage. These guys would be down like 10-2.
Just like, please!
Guys, come on! Like, they would be 10-2 down, just like, hey, don't worry. And they'd still bounce back and win it. That was the thing. But now at this roster, they seem to be much more heavily leaning in towards the tactical side. They want to take every advantage they physically can. And taking that pause right now, I couldn't agree more. This is such an important round for G2 to get on the board.
They're going to force ShahZaM off at least the early control, but as I said, it's almost like a fluid defense. As one player falls back, the others start to push forward. Taking that battle, TENZ, of course, has the ability to dismiss out of this position if he is able to get himself the frag, and they are looking to try and close him out of this spot. The repeat will at least allow him to cross, but he does take a bit of damage on the way out.
Yeah, that Lear saved him because no one could aim at him. They were just spraying away and hoping to catch him on the crossover. Still getting a little bit of damage in. As G2 quickly rotate to B. This could be huge. If I'm not mistaken, Sentinels have not taken the orb inside of B main. I can't see with the hood. A little bit more. There we go.
It is.
This is a huge bait. They see that orb, they think there's no way someone's here. But Sick is. He's trapped in the corner, though, and taken down. And as Dapper tries to escape, he is pursued. ShahZaM eliminated in middle. Now the split comes to fruition. Mixwell's back online with the res, and Avova is on his way. He is creeping close. He's hearing the steps. He knows exactly where Dapper is. Avova, good for one, but it's a trade out. Sentinels are keeping this competitive. Zoms has to make a big clutch happen. He's going to stop them from planting for just a moment. No, actually, he doesn't. It's a little bit too deep. He was hoping that this was going to be a plant in for main. Oh, no! Just the wrong time, but he still gets away with a frag. In fact, he has more HP than Coldamenta, and he wins it out. 3 kills for Zoms, a massive clutch, and Sentinels take the lead.
What? He had absolutely no right to win that after trying to jump off the back of the box. That is something that I think might come back to haunt G2, a 2 versus 1 where they had the drop on their opponent and he still managed to find the kill. I didn't even notice the TENZ got 2 there.
How did it, like, he's jumping up on top of the box as he gets peeked, and somehow in a 0 impact, he's still able to get away with that. That is going to haunt G2, a round that definitely should have been theirs. And it was Avova coming through mid that guaranteed it. He heard Dapper, he knew where he was able to get the trade on the initial fight. TENZ does the legwork in getting the double kill, but Zoms closing it out, man deserves a medal for that.
For sure, and especially because they had that surprise setup, which G2 actually dealt with a lot better than I thought they were going to. Like, the bait and switch off the orb was something that looked like it was going to be devastating, and it was actually just a 1-for-1 trade. For now, though, this is where we get that operator. It may not be the best of rounds for G2, but even if they can take that out of the question, that would be nice.
It definitely would. We talked about the impact ShahZaM can have, and he's about to take a challenge. There's the kill right away onto Coldamenta. He's going out for more, looking for a victim. The Lear popped up by his teammate. Confirms there's still a player on the left side at least. TENZ wants to push on forward. It's all a bait for Kellogg's to try and catch a frag, and that he does. But ShahZaM deals with him as well. Almost swell too. 4 versus 2, pistols in play, but G2 have gained control of the B site. And look at this massive rotate from Mixwell. Knife out, running through spawn. And he might just be able to get on there for a plant. It's all down to Nukia, though. How much can he get done? And a free kill. He can dismiss over there, confirming there's another player, holding up in heaven. Dapper on his way through, but he'll get the kill. And now this is almost unwinnable for Mixwell.
Yeah, if he gets a kill, he has the showstopper, but Dapper's not going to allow for anything more. There was just a moment where it seemed like G2 could maybe get something here, but a couple of kills back on the buy, and well, it has looked pretty clean so far on the defensive side for Sentinels. Not a single round lost, and G2 need to break that trend and break it fast.
Yeah, Sentinels wouldn't survive at a football game because they've just been streaking these rounds together like non-stop. Look at that. This whole half on the defense has been untouchable, and now I would argue they're only starting to get activated. They have all their ultimates online. SHAZAM's got that operator, and money's about to tip massively into their favor. If they can manage to win this round, map might be over.
Well, just as the purchase comes back up for G2, so do the ultimates start to come into play for Sentinels. They've already managed to lock down mid. It's going to be difficult to clear this out, especially with the passive hold he's able to get. Instead, though, G2 look like they might just try and barrel their way into B. The problem is there's actually a wall just locking them out. Sig is going to sit at the back, and he already has TENZ to support him, and there's going to be a rotation before anything can really be done.
Oh, it's a little bit shallow, but the spams get him in the end. Good kill to start. Wall across, and here comes the showstopper. Looking at the backside, and TENZ again, the victim found by that rocket. He is taken down. Dapper is too. SHAZAM doing his best to keep this one alive, but a shot through the legs as we will leave Zoms again in a clutch situation. But he won it out last time, managing to get a near impossible clutch on the board. This time around, things aren't looking nearly as doable.
And that's the one interesting thing about this current position. If I said to you, Midge, 6 rounds in a row, you're thinking, Sentinels must be rolling in it. So much cash, they probably can't even, they're having to just almost recycle things at this point, just going, oh, do I buy an extra pistol? Do I just throw a bit of utility away at the end of the round? Do I do that? Well, that's not the case. I think one of them had about 5,000 credits, but they had a lot of rebuys in some of these rounds. You had obviously the round where Zoms basically had to clutch it out and was the only one alive. And, oh dear, they've actually lost the operator as well. Him getting shut down by G2 is a pretty big deal because I'm waiting to look at the credits.
Mixwell's keeping the operator as well. They're going to try to use it on the attack side. And yeah, Tom, I agree with you. At least off memory, the credits are pretty poor for Sentinels right now. Look at this. How many times is TENZ going to get this unlucky? I mean, he has been hit by every showstopper, it feels like. Except the ones that were used to delay, of course, the zoning ones. And yeah, look at this buy that's going to come through out of Sentinels. They're able to just about scrape a buy together. They've got utility, but some players are having to play with light shields, and SHAZAM's having to go for the Blade Storm.
Yeah, luckily for them, that ultimate is online. It makes a big difference with this purchase. Mixwell's just gone straight through, though. It just blasts back, and it might not have been as clean as money, but that was! SHAZAM's going to take 2 with the Blade Storm, bringing this round back into contention. There's also the res online, so potentially going to be able to use that while holding onto the angle. The wall doesn't block it. Luckily for TENZ, he's going to be finding the shot anyway. Again, we find ourselves in a 2v2, but G2 do get the res off.
Yeah, it looks like Sick might be able to do the same. It's a risk, but he's going to take it. Dapper falls in the meantime, though, so the numbers stay exactly the same. Down goes Sick to the operator, and Kellogg's hits in with the 4th. That is 10-10. G2 have tied it up just in the nick of time.
A couple of extremely explosive rounds, maybe realizing in this one that the economy was a little bit more on the brink, so they could try and take a risk through the utility. I also just think these are the sort of rounds they need to be going for, just playing off their individual skill, playing off the trades, because in the slow rounds, they've been picked apart.
It's the operator as well, right? The one that was saved over by their opponents. Kellogg's was gifted this by Zoms towards the end of the last round, and now he uses it to pull off a 4K. They have got to be kicking themselves as they now find themselves on pistols. That was some shot, but he will just be healed back up for the most part.
I do love the idea that if no one else is going to hype up Kellogg's, he would definitely hype up himself.
He will do it himself. You can be damn sure of that.
I'm nasty.
Oh, you got to do it. You got to let him know. Well, coming up against pistols, though, this is going to have to be a very cautious round from G2. You would love to come in and just start rolling around, trying to win duels, trying to ego peek them, but at the same time, Sentinels are still dangerous when they have these pistols, and we have seen it again and again.
Yeah, even when they have nothing at all, this team is still as dangerous as any. we're going to see a slow push over. The orb is still there. They could actually get themselves the lockdown and play this one incredibly safe. The rotation already there, though, from Sentinels. They have a pretty damn good read on this, but now G2 go back in the other direction. So maybe they read a page or two ahead.
Oh, it's actually beautiful, because they'd already seen Kellogg's as well inside of B main. And then as they rotate over, it looks like they've got the perfect read, the perfect stack. And you can imagine the danger if G2 tried to do what they're doing now. Imagine Mixwell blast packs into A like that, like he did in the previous round. He gets crushed. But they make the right read, they get the sight, and now this should be an easy enough round. Sentinels have a lot of danger when they have these pistols, but the reality is when you're forcing yourself into a retake position, it's so much harder to find favorable fights.
Oh, this now becomes a bit of an awkward round for Sentinels. I would be surprised to see them go for anything other than exits. Maybe just try and hold some of these players into the site. You don't want to just allow G2 to farm up their ultimates. They're actually going to use the Cosmic Divide here, try and make them play on these closer range fights, and Mixwell is more than okay with that. Going to get up in the face of his opponent, and they are just wiping out these remaining players. The only one left is Zoms, and I think he might get caught out on the cross here, and Mixwell will find them the prime gaming flawless. Solid round from G2, keeping it nice and clean, great rotations, and now we wait for the breakback of Sentinels once again.
6 in a row for Sentinels, and as it breaks, G2 reclaim the lead. This is looking a little bit shaky. It's all down to this upcoming round. A loss in this pretty much guarantees.
Oh, that's not
jinx it. I've stopped myself.
No. You didn't say anything.
More
Forget
rounds
that.
will play.
If the jinx gods are listening, you didn't say it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yo, maybe I'm trying to be a friend. NA, look at the credits G2. Well, you can't see them, but G2 have a lot of credits. Just trust me on that one. They are stacked up pretty high. Sentinels need to win this one out, and ShahZaM on that operator. We've seen the impact before. It's a whiff shot to start it out. Cole Dementa baiting him in. Showing that they're aware of what's going on in the defender's camp.
Using the dash just to be safe. They don't want that to be going down early. Again, they show presence over on B, show themselves on the left side of mid, even bait out a shot or two. Now they're going to go running all the way back, and you can see the re-aggression coming out from Sentinels. They realize they need that extra information.
Cosmic Divide, I presume.
You should run.
That's going to be thrown down. Attacker killed Joey ult. Okay, well that's an ambitious one on the A side, and it's actually going to force them pretty far out. But the problem is, Sentinels are hard rotating into the side. Mixwell is too. He's on the backside already, making his way right in there and securing an off angle for them to play on. They are full committing to this one. And on the G2 side, this has worked out so well. Site control and a deep nade out of Mixwell. But he won't be re-aggressing into that operator. Kellogg's not playing the jet. He can't get out of there.
Wasn't able to escape this time. The Empress pop for nuclear kill will grant him his full HP back. Cosmic Divide though thrown through, and Avova, just before it pops, will manage to get the pick. They're going to try and sneak their way through it on the other side. It's just awkward. He's blocking him on the other side, and Avova again. He's using these Cosmic Divides to ridiculous effect. Sentinels can do absolutely nothing, and it's left on to ShahZaM. Although he finds 2, there will be no more. And I think it's fair to say Avova is the king of the Cosmic Divide.
That man is just unbelievable on the A side with this stuff. He's literally blocking them at just the right angle. They can't walk in, and then he just sprays them down as they come on through. That's TENZ that he just won a fight against, and TENZ knew he was there. He was going in for the pre-fire. How happy can this man be? The whole team of G2 roiled up now as we come in to 12-10. Map and series points. Sentinels looking to be dethroned for the first time at an international event.
Well, let's see. It takes a lot to get to 12 versus Sentinels, but it's a completely different game. They have never lost a series on LAN. Yeah, sure, people will put caveats on this match, but I don't think anybody within EMEA, within the G2 camp, and even within Sentinels themselves, are gonna care. The second a team is shown to be mortal, well, the game becomes a different beast. But they have not fallen off their perch just yet.
Still plenty to work with on this Sentinel side. 2 rounds in a row, not too much to ask, but The operator's not there. In fact, there's only 2 Vandals, right? Spectres all around and so much pressure on Zoms. This man has had retake after retake, but this time he'll be the one pressured. The solo holder of the A site. Mixwell has been blast packing past this utility time and time again. Gonna go for the same this time around. Right by. No, he gets caught up. Zoms, good for 1. Sick trading from above. Even in for 2. And then ShahZaM walks through, but he's taken down by keloqz. This man showing up when he needs to. Plant on backside. And a 2 versus 2. Sentinels need to try and force this fight soon before Rez can come through. The right up close. TENZ catches 1, but keloqz needs to clutch it out. The Rez pulls 1 back online. Dapper has to take the fight, and that's information. It's all that keloqz wanted. He just needs a 1 more bullet. Dapper, 31 HP, and Sentinels just about stay alive. 1 shot from Dapper, a headshot to put 11 on the board. A close round, and you have to say, G2, they came damn close, but they've got to run it one more time.
It's the Red Bull clutch, and you could feel G2 is sweating. I think many, including myself, thought that was it, thought it was done, but they never seem to fall. And it has to go, as you said, once again. A great opportunity there for G2 to close out the series, but it isn't done just yet.
Kick in the teeth that he had a Sheriff. Hey, it's returned over. He had a Sheriff. God. If that was a classic, if he had a little bit more ammo, I mean, there's so many things that could have went their way, but if ands or buts don't get you anything, G2 calling a tactical timeout. This is their best opportunity to claim top seed in their group, guaranteed if they 2-0 this series. But if it goes to overtime, it feels like things swing right back into Sentinels' favor, because I'm not going to rely on them having a bad attack 2 times in a row.
No, for sure. And then the fact is, a lot of these rounds have been incredibly close. They've been grindy from the side of G2. They've needed ridiculous plays. Avova he's having one of the best series we've ever seen. I feel like I say that every couple of months. Like, this man just seems to pull them out of the bag. The difference, though, again, is the pressure is on. And that's always the thing we've spoken about with this G2 side, is how are they going to fare on the LAN stage? How are they going to fare when the pressure is there? And Sentinels, we know, thrive under it.
We absolutely do. Look at that buy, man. Just take a glance at the Sentinel side to fight for overtime to keep their international record. A Guardian, a Judge, and a Spectre sprinkled in. Utility is light. They don't even have a wall to play with. And that's what players going on to light shields. The advantage still sits towards G2, but they need to close it out.
Oh, damn, that was just a spam straight through by the looks of it. Mixwell is gone within seconds, countered after what has been such success over onto this A site. Now, the rest of the team are looking to try and fight into middle, but they've got to be so careful of this Judge.
You've seen what this can do up close. You never expected a 12-11, surely. A tough fight if they take it, but luckily they've backed off. And this will be just a time delay. Clock gonna run down as G2 regroup and figure out how they want to approach this. I'm kind of concerned seeing keloqz move around mid with the spike like that. He's going to regroup up with his teammates. The A side is where they're looking at, and it's all thanks to Nukia being so far pushed up in heaven.
It seems, though, again, that the read is solid. They've left one player still into middle. The split is there. Avova's got another Cosmic Divide, and as we know how much he can do with that, they're going to try and avoid that initial utility. Sick going to be stunned at the back, but there's 2 players they have to deal with, and Dapper's already going to drop another. This gives him that Viper's Pit to just lock down the site, and the time is ticking now for G2.
Oh, what is going on here? Nukia came in with a quick double. The A site, sure, it might have a Viper's Pit on it, but B is open, and they know it. They're rotating all the way over, allowing them to have whatever they like on the A site. And if they can get the spike down quickly, oh, in fact, there's no ult orb there. So yeah, they're going to get this spike down. No res for Sick unless he finds a kill. And when they get to the B site, there's no one for him to res. This is huge. G2 have avoided a massive landmine. And now they just need to hold on in the post plant. Sentinels moving together through Garage. Sick and Dapper, the players that need to clutch this out, and they've both had their rounds. Dapper alone has been fantastic, but there's no utility to play with here, Tom. It's all down to aim duels on both sides of the coin. The time is so low. They need to make a move. They need to find a kill soon, find some space. Sick is taken down. It's all up to Dapper. He's going in for the stick, halfway at least, ready to take the fight up above, and Coldamenta's shut down. He's almost got it, but they push at just the right moment. 13-11. G2 have won the series, and Sentinels are dethroned. At long last, G2, the Kings are back, and this is their town.
Truly unbelievable. We have never seen this team lose on LAN, and finally, someone has managed to take them down. The worst thing as well is this was on Split. Never in our wildest dreams did we imagine that G2 would be able to counter Sentinels on this map, and honestly, that is one of the most unbelievable matches I think we've ever seen. We're going to get some celebrations after it. I don't even think they know what to do. Like, most teams have gone, right, I've got my little practice. You're going to do the wheelbarrow, and I'm going to move you around. And on G2 went, did we just win? What are we
planned for this?
Yeah, like we did. Like, what do you even do at this point?
I imagine they're just as gobsmacked as we are. Sentinels have never lost a series. G2 gave them the smacking of their lives over on the previous map. 13-3, something that Sentinels have never experienced. They've had that one map loss like that, as Yinsu told us, up against 100 Thieves. And since then, they have looked impeccable on an international scale, on a national scale, and now they fall. We knew a time would come that they'd lose a series at a LAN event. I just didn't think it would be G2 to do it.
No, I think that's my main takeaway. Like, I know there's going to be a lot of people, probably from North America, maybe named Van Silly, who are going to be sat there going, this is a seeding match. But I don't want to take away whether or not, oh, okay, this was sent a little bit, whatever. I want to look at it from G2's perspective. They didn't crumble. They looked impeccable. Individually, they've looked fantastic. They've shown depth on agents that we weren't sure they'd be playing. We got Mixwell switching back over to a Raze. I didn't expect to see that on this tournament. We've had a Vova, truly unbelievable, using a Cosmic Divide twice in the same way and finding a multitude of frags. We've had unbelievable matches from keloqz, who was the biggest question mark we had coming into this tournament, if he was going to be as good as we know he could. And now they've done it versus Sentinels. And even if it's Sentinels, maybe not at their peak, you are still taking down a team that has never lost on LAN before.
You have to say, G2 took out their checkbook a while back, and the start wasn't exactly what we expected for the team. A superstar lineup. And they didn't get the results right away, but they didn't give up either. They kept at it. They pushed on forward, and now here is the reward. G2, the first team to beat Sentinels, and it's 2-0. It's in spectacular fashion. All the rounds played out on that last map, and you can see the joy in Mixwell's face as finally, after months and months of grinding, G2 are back on top.
And the funny thing now is, after this series is done, there's going to be teams in other groups going, wait, so my choice is now a G2 that's just being Sentinels, or Sentinels. Like, that's it. I think we're going to have a draw later on, and I think everybody's just going to be panicking, going, I don't want either, I don't want either, I don't want either, I don't want either, I don't want either. So, honestly, what a game. What a match.
Unbelievable. Really. And I came into today, and I was expecting a good showing from G2.
MBS predicted it.
I mean, okay.
Can we look at his pick'ems, please? I think this man he's got the biggest brain in esports. Well, I think we need him on the desk.
But I think Doug said it on the desk earlier on as well. It is so hard to beat a team twice, and in such a short period of time, with the things that we've seen from G2, the adaptations versus F4Q the second time around, they looked unbelievable. And right here against Sentinels, it felt like even when we look at the round where Sentinels had pistols and they rotated into position, they made the right call, but G2 didn't fall into the trap. It felt like they were familiar with this opponent now, and this is what happens when you give G2 time to really grow, and when Carlos gets his checkbook out.
Do you know what's even scarier? I just thought about this. Someone is now going to have to face off against Sentinels that have just lost a series.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to come back and go, so all of our weaknesses have just been spotted. Now we're going to fix all of... That team is screwed. I'm sorry. Whoever gets Sentinels in the draw, you're screwed. Sorry, guys. Oh, yeah, of course, they've got to play F4Q, so I feel bad for those guys as well.
You want to know the best part about it is the fact that when you look at Sentinels as they are right now, this guarantees guarantees G2 take top seed. So Sentinels are going to be second seed, presumably playing against a first seed team. They'll be like, hey, we got the easier match. We topped our group. Who you played? What?
Big brain EMEA. See, that's what it was.
There you go.
They knew
that's
all
what
along.
it's all about. Shout out Vans. He didn't believe, but now he pays. You know what, Tom? That's enough from us. An absolutely monumental series for us here. Let's take one more look at it in the Prime Gaming post-match.
From moment to moment, we can have that respect as we step on stage, but as soon as we get behind the desks, we are fierce competitors, and we will let you know that every step of the way, and respect is earned.
We tend to die. One enemy.
It's a vibe, man. When you burn that rubber and you turn your music up, it's the best shit ever. You can't even hear your car, you just hear all music.
Welcome back to Masters Berlin, where Kellogg's promised and G2-0 delivered. It's a 2-map victory and a first seed into the knockout stage for the EMEA squad. And I gotta be honest, I'm still just a little bit stunned at what we just witnessed.
Look, the plane knew. Carlos, he knew.
Get the plane back up in the air, Carlos.
Sky. Please, no, that was absolutely insane. And I mean, for me, at the end of that last game, over.
Oh, I mean, yes, and we are going to get to him as an MVP in this series. But, Doug, we have to remind everybody that when this group was released ahead of the tournament, everyone was talking about how it felt predetermined. Sentinels, they'll skate right out of this one in first seed. Okay, G2 probably right behind them. But there it is. Flies in the face of expectation.
I'm not going to lie to you. I even struggled with, does F4Q get out over G2? If I'm going to be very honest with you, because F4Q, they were fun, they were different, they were bringing a little bit of spice, but G2 impressed me so much, and there are so many things. I know we'll get into the nitty-gritty details, but I walk away very impressed from G2 after that series.
Well, let's do it right now. Let's do it right now. And as you mentioned, Gio, all eyes on Avova. We put a focus on Kellogg's because throughout the tournament, he's been the surprise. But today, Avova on that Astra, the cosmic divide's coming up in a big way.
Oh, absolutely insane. And we kind of spoke in the halftime a little bit about it, how his positioning was always so good on the site where he played from. The way he played the cosmic divide in some of those highlights as well, and in that latter half really impressed me too. And it's kind of funny because when Sentinels played G2 a couple of days ago, it was Mixwell who was playing the cosmic divides really well, but Avova just played the perfect anchor in this game.
Well, and that's the thing, Doug. I love it. It's the agent swap-ups. I mean, I don't want to attribute it all to that, but it's got to have played a major piece.
Oh, 1000%. And I think that was the thing we discussed. It's so hard to beat a team twice. You're going to have to bring something different, right? You can't just run a rinse and repeat and think that the same play is going to happen again, especially knowing that ShahZaM's on the other side. So I do think that while it may not have been entirely the only contributing factor, we've got to talk about how they switched things up and how it proved to be problematic for Sentinels.
I mean, that's what has, I think, impressed me the most about G2 holistically throughout this tournament so far, is that from game to game, regardless of what the result was on the previous one, how much they adapt and change and learn from the previous game, and this is so, it's just the perfect exemplification of that.
And admittedly, some great composure out of the G2 squad, because on the back half, it got a little touch and go there when 6 rounds came together for Sentinels. We had mentioned the fact that all the pistols had gone the way to G2 until this second half of Split. And so for them to be able to wrap it up when it looked like Sentinels was picking up steam is a big thing.
I think you are nailing a very important point here, that we just walked away with from G2 is they had a bend but don't break mentality, right? And there was a moment in which it could have easily gone the other way, but I'm particularly looking at round 20. Kellogg's hit that 4K with the op, and Sentinels had just rattled off a couple of rounds. Yeah, that was their second round win, but that was the moment where momentum shifted. Well, and they only gave up 1 round after that, right? And that was a big clutch round coming out from ZAM, so that easily could have gone the other way, but for them, they weathered that storm. They were able to deal with the momentum shift, and they walked away with the win. Insanely impressed by G2.
And wouldn't you guess it, that's our Verizon high-speed moment from this map. It's the 4K by Kellogg's to turn things around, because exactly right, backs against the wall almost in this moment. He comes up in a big way while it was Avova at the top of the boards. It was these kinds of difference-making star power plays from Kellogg's that brought them over the line.
It's interesting to me as well, because you saw very much at the beginning of this round, ShahZaM got those couple of kills with the Blade Storm, and I feel like both in this map and in Icebox, for Sentinels, a couple of the rounds where they actually saw that success, it came from the Blade Storm. And the fact, so it was TENZ on the previous map, it was ShahZaM here, the fact that G2 have been able to kind of grab that and say, no, you're still not having this one, and still be able to act on that, I found very impressive.
Yeah, and again, it could have gone the other way, right? Momentum could have easily shifted the other way, but just so impressed by
And
G2.
you never know what happens if you let Sentinels get to a third map, but G2 makes sure to not let it happen. We're still reeling a little bit from this victory, and what an upset it was. I'm sure the players are as well. Let's go ahead and head over to Yinsu and Mixwell for the Verizon post-game interview.
Thank you very much, Dasha. I'm glad Gio is in a good mood because I'm also in a good mood. I'm here with Mixwell. You got your revenge, and also you became the first team to take down Sentinels at an international tournament. How does that feel?
Feels amazing, to be honest, because they've been really cocky lately, so it's good to shut them off a little bit.
Yeah. Did you expect the same maps to come up? Because is this what you prepped for and came with like a specific plan to take them down?
Yes, we expected this. We had veto advantage in this second best of 3, so we actually could choose Icebox first, which we played really well the first game, and we didn't change too much on that map. On Split, I suggested that since ShahZaM is peeking with Operator and Attack too much and getting a lot of space for them, I suggested that I play Raze with Operator and Defense, so I can challenge ShahZaM and he doesn't get as much freedom as he got the first game. Yeah.
How was it being back on the Raze? We haven't seen you on the Raze since April.
I was telling him, I was playing with Kellogg's. Kellogg's was bottom fragging, and I told him, now you're doing what I do with you. It's your time to bottom frag for a little bit. And then he got the Operator and just destroyed them, so he didn't even bottom frag in the end.
Yeah, no, he didn't. What about the other changes, you know, moving on to the Sage as well, Nuki on the Reyna? What was that all about?
Yeah, like I said, I suggested to the coaching staff that we should play with me on Raze and Operator, so I can challenge ShahZaM, Kellogg's on Sage, and Nuki and Reyna, so we can flash ShahZaM off on defense as well to be able to execute properly. And it worked. Yeah, thank you for the coaching staff for believing in my suggestions, and yeah. Nice.
But is this change specifically for Sentinels? So going ahead, if you were to play that map again, you guys going to play something more, the things you've been practicing, or are we going to see you on the Raze again?
I don't want to say anything about that because I don't want to give any information to our opponents. We will adapt to any team we play against. The good thing about us is that every player plays a lot of agents, so we can switch around a lot.
Yeah, and I just wanted to ask you about your journey as well, because I saw you on stream talk about in the past that it was hard for you to watch Iceland being at home and knowing that you have what it takes to be at a tournament like this. And now, you know, you got here, you're in the top 8, and you're in the top 8 as first seed from your group. What does that mean to you?
For me, it means everything. I've been in G2 for 1.5 years. We were winning everything, and then we fell off hard. And watching it from home was really, I couldn't watch it sometimes. I had to just take a walk, and I didn't even read Twitter because I couldn't see myself watching it in my sofa while others were fighting for the spot. So for me, it means everything.
Yeah, well, we can see that in how passionate you guys have been on stage. And lastly, you know, you're the EMEA team that's through. You're through first. You have a really, really good spot. Looking at the other EMEA teams, how do you think they'll do?
I think both will make it. I think ACEND is going to win against SMB, and I think Gambit is going to win against Crazy Raccoons. And I hope that Crew wins as well. So we will face one of these 3 teams. And for us, like I said, we don't care about that because we need to win the tournament to qualify or be top 2 if Gambit doesn't win. So we don't care about who we face because we want to beat everyone.
Well, thank you so much, Mixwell, for joining me. Congratulations once again.
Thank you, Ginsu. Ciao.
We're going to go to a quick break now, but don't go anywhere because there is a qualification match coming up to you on the way that is between Vivo Keep and Crew.